Draymond and Klay being named as reserves, I was just wondering, what do you make of their season so far?
Well, I'm proud of them. It's amazing. They have 4 All-Stars 2 years in a row. We're obviously really lucky to have these guys all together at once on one roster. And what I love is that they're so unselfish. They play together so well, and that's why they're all All-Stars. It wouldn't work if they were selfish, looking for their own shot, looking for their own points and that kind of stuff. So I'm really thrilled that the coaches recognized Draymond and Klay for their contributions to our success, because it's the defense really that's been the key to our team. Everybody knows about the shooting and the scoring, but it's our defense that has helped us win championships. And in my mind, those 2 guys really are the keys. I mean, along with Andre, the way they switch and both guard the ball and both guard bigs. And, so I'm really happy for both of them.
Steve, this morning Draymond was saying that he feels like he's gotten proper recognition for what he does. The subject was, when a guy doesn't score a lot, does he get the kind of recognition maybe he deserves? And he said he does. In your mind, you think so?
Well, yeah. I mean, he got named an All-Star, so and Defensive Player of the Year last year, and so he's getting the accolades that he deserves. And more than anything, Draymond wants to win. I mean, he's such a competitor, and so I know these awards always mean a lot to everybody. But the biggest one is the ring, and I know what that's what all 4 of those guys are after. They want another one.
I saw something today that on this date a few years back, Klay had that 37-point quarter. What do you remember about that night? Like, what's the memory that sticks out to you?
It was almost surreal, the frenzy. It was the combination of Klay going crazy and licking his chops, and his teammates, the joy that they had for him and with him. They were just hunting shots for him, and it's like a pack of hyenas. The fever pitch. There was like a sound to it with the crowd, and it was just incredible to watch. I've never seen anything like it. Probably never will again either.
Coach, getting back to Dre, when he came into this league, I don't know that anybody knew that he would be the passer that he's become, and with his assist numbers. How much has having a player like that at his position shaped the way that you've been able to run your offense?
Well, it's a big part of things, and what allows for that is Steph is so good off the ball. If Steph needed the ball in his hands all the time, it wouldn't work. Klay obviously is the #1 catch and shoot guy in the league, and then with Steph's ability to just kind of morph, back and forth from point guard to shooting guard, it really opens things up for not only Draymond, also Andre and Shaun, and that's why our assist totals are so spread out. We're #1 in the league in assists, but I don't know that we have a guy in the top 15 individually. I don't know where Draymond ranks. I think
5th.
5th? All right, I'm wrong. Forget that.
Good concept.
But we got, we just have, from one night to the next, it's like, we'll have 30 assists, and Draymond will have 8 of them, and the next guy will have 5 and 4 and 3, and so the shooting and the unselfishness allows for that kind of playmaking distribution, and I think it's great for Draymond. I think it's one of his best attributes is playing that point forward rule.
How much has that shaped what you've been able to create, though, in this unique offense that has changed this game over the last few years?
Yeah, it's a huge part of it. I think we're dead last in the league in screen and rolls. We have been probably every year, 29th or 30th. So we play more off the ball than anybody in the league. And the only way that works is if you've got guys who can shoot, but you got to have guys who can pass, and we just have so many passers, and that's what makes it fun to coach this group and fun to play the way we do.
Do you think being named an All-Star for guys like Klay and Draymond, do you think it means even more to them than they let on?
Oh yeah, for sure. Maybe not Klay. For most people, you want to, you want to downplay it and talk about the team as you should. So there's nothing like team success, and I guarantee you, if you ask them, to compare winning a championship to going to the All-Star game. It's not even close, but it's an amazing accomplishment. It's something they should be very proud of.
Steve, what if anything did you learn around Gregg Popovich of dealing with bumps in the road, so-called turmoil, I guess?
Nothing really. He's kind of overrated. Talks about how great he is. I beg to differ. One of my favorite things about Pop is that he just has this great perspective on the NBA, on life, and it's. I thought Phil Jackson was the same way. Wonderful balance of this is our job, and we should be passionate about it. We should work our tails off every day, and we should be competitive and want to win and get after it. But if we don't, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And you got other things going on in your lives. You've got your families. You've got, what you're going to do in the off season, and once you're done with your playing career. And I think that sort of balance, that work-life balance, that those two guys really tried to impart on their teams has definitely influenced me as a coach.
Steve, kind of a two-part question. A, were you among one of the coaches that voted for the reserves?
Yes, yeah, we all get votes. We vote for our conference. We don't vote for.
Yeah. So what's the process that you go and just trying to determine which ones that are worthy of your vote? Just knowing there's so many good candidates.
Yeah, it's really hard. This year was probably the hardest year that I've had. I sort of came down to 3 or 4 guys for the last spot, and it was really tough. There's always a couple guys that you hate to leave off. This year there were 3 or 4, and the last spot in particular was really tough. And I'm not going to tell you how I wrote it, but you go through it. I value winning. If there's 2 guys who I deem are equal, I'm going to go for the guy whose team has won more. I think that's important, and I also value two-way players, guys who can play both sides.
So the trade deadline's coming up, and a lot of teams looking kind of for a magic bullet, that person's going to make all the difference. It seems like you guys go for players that fill roles. Obviously, you have some all-stars to start with, but it's a little more difficult way to do it, but it seems like it works out better. You just talk about how you find players, identify roles, and find players for those roles.
There's a million guys out there who can play a role, but there's only a handful of all-stars, and so we have the easy job. Once we kind of secure this core, and when I say we, I mean Bob and his staff. I didn't have much to do with it, but once I experienced this in San Antonio and Chicago. If you're a role player, it's just much easier to find a role on a great team with playing next to a few all-stars. And there's lots of guys out there who can play that role. And so for us, it's a matter of taking advantage of this time where we have these guys in the primes of their careers, these all-stars, and then finding the right pieces around them. And our front office has done a really good job of finding those players.
Anything else? Is that it?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.